Good afternoon, everybody. I just woke up a little bit ago, so for me it's kind of morning. Brain fart. Yeah. Welcome to Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. I'm Doom, and I'm here to guide you on your crafting journey of doing stuff cheap and ghetto. So we're going to make some walls for caves. Many people would say make cave tiles. I would say do not make cave tiles. What I do is I make walls, and I set them up in sections and use the empty space in between on my battle mat as the cave area that you have access to. And making a lot of walls is a lot easier than making tiles. You can do two different things. You can make tiles and leave the walls off, signifying that that's dead wall space, or you can make walls and use the open space in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I guess we could probably do both of those things, really, if you wanted to. But I'm going to start with walls. So to make my walls, I thought about this a little bit. I usually use foam, and I use a foam cutter. But I know a lot of you guys might not have a foam cutter. So we're going to do a couple different things here. Am I out of foil? Holy shit. I'm out of foil. All right. That's a good thing I decided we're going to do a couple things. So the first thing you want to do to make a wall section is get a length that is adequate for your wall. Something like that. Get it into a rough shape. Roughly push it down at some kind of interesting shape like that. Get some glue. And shove it down so that it stays. Okay. Then get yourself something to use, like Mod Podge. Make sure your ends are down. Get some Mod Podge. I don't want to use that brush. I like that brush. Cover it adequately with said Mod Podge, getting in all your little cracks and stuff. Just like that. Your bottom's nice and flat still. Get some of your extra Mod Podge out of the way. And then use dirt or pool sand or whatever you have. Coat it, and when you peel it off the paper, after you paint it, you can rip off the excess stuff. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my sand and put it away. And that is one really good way to make a bunch of modular walls. You paint them up, they're good. Since I don't want to run upstairs and get more foil, where I know Mrs. Doom has some, I'm going to show you another method using foam. You can use a foam cutter if you have one. If you don't, you can do it with a knife. It'll be messier and take longer. I have some pretty hardcore compressed foam here that's used to pack between windows. And I have a piece of really nasty, dirty insulation foam. And I guess we can get some foam cord. If I can find some foam cord. I found some foam cord. All right. So if you want to make, where's my plug? There it is. Some easy walls. Find your flat portion. Find a height you want. About an inch or an inch and a half should be good. And then just cut yourself some walls so that they're wider at the base than at the top. Oh, hell, my foam cutter just broke. Of course it did. you guys are wondering, there's a open garbage right next to me. That's where I throw everything. I don't know if you guys just thought I tossed it on the ground or what. Do I have excess wire? I do. Excess wire initiated. So let me get my foam cutter wire back on here. There we go, just like that. Just wrap it around a couple times. And snip it off. Whoop. And save that wire, because I can never find replacements for it easily. By the way, that wire is since before I moved into this house, so it's a little older. So, like I said, you want it to be wider at the bottom than the top. Oh, that is hot. No wonder I have it turned up way too high. You do not need it up this high for what I'm doing. It should not be glowing so red that you're like, oh, that's glowing red. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit, so just a little bit red. And then you just get your piece. And get your top kind of sorted out. Woo! And do something with your sides to round them off a little bit. And you can make these as long as you want. You can just come across here and play with these and get them how you want them to look. Like that. Something like that. Real simple. You can paint it with Mod Podge and give it some texture. You can do the same thing with this crap here. You get... I actually like the pink foam a little better for this, personally. But you can do whatever you need to or want to make it work. And these don't have to be perfect by any means. Someone called me today and was telling me about how Taylor Swift ruined football. Well, I'll be honest with you, I don't watch football, and I don't care if she did. I fought in wars overseas, getting paid basically less than minimum wage. And these athletes, who half of them couldn't outrun most soldiers, get paid a bunch of money. Now, hockey players and soccer players who don't make as much as pro football and pro basketball players and pro baseball players, I have a little more sympathy for them. And back when they used to beat the shit out of each other in hockey like it was fun, well, I was on that team. So I lost one of my wall pieces. Here it is. Okay. Paint these up. They're flat on the bottom, cover them in rocks, and they should be weighty enough to not move all over the place. Alright, so that's what you can do with foam. Now with foam core is a little different. You don't really need one of these foam cutters to do it with foam core. So the secret to success with the foam cutter, or with the foam core, is a little different, I would assume. I'm going to get a tongue depressor and some foam that is roughly that long. I'm going to cut that in half. Glue those together. And then with a knife or whatever you have, just kind of cut a rough top. Bring your sides down a little bit. Get some tin foil. And then I would come up here on the edge with the glue And I would kind of seal it together a little bit, just to get rid of that crack. Again, that's how I would do it. You're not obligated to do it the same way as me. And once you got that crack covered up, I'd get my minor burning hand spell. I would. You don't have to. I'm going to glue it to that popsicle stick, however. Okay, and I'm going to get my minor burning hand spell. And I'm going to come along these edges up here and just kind of make that choppy and silly. So there's another way you could do it. All these ways are relatively inexpensive, except for the insulation foam. I got a bunch of free insulation foam. Generally, you're not going to get it for free. There's actually a place up in Pittsburgh that they have tons of it outside, and it's like 50 cents for like giant sheets of it that are all beat up and couldn't be used in construction. I didn't buy any. I got mine for free, but I did see some there. If you know somebody doing a house, or you know somebody that works construction, just kindly remind them that you need that stuff. And they'll give you your cutoffs. Mine's left over from a shed project that we did at work, and it got left outside, and then I saw it there, and I was like, are we using that? And they were like, no. And I was like, can I have that? They were like, we were going to throw it away. And I was like, oh, by all means, I would love it. So I kept it for myself, and it worked out nicely. So let's get some lids here. Holy crap, I can't get that off there. And let's see what we can do. So I'm just going to get a little dab there to hold this in place while I work on it and let that cool. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Boop. Now, I am not the cardboard messiah or the foam messiah or anything like that. I'm just a guy in my basement. Keep that in mind. So when you see me doing this stuff, I am not a trained professional. I'm a crazy person. And boop. Normally, I would have all these glued onto a long stick where I could work on them one by one. However, that's not the case today. So I'm going to get my Mod Podge. And I'm going to get a styrofoam plate real quick. I'm going to get that brush I had from earlier. And I'm going to, oh, it's very wet, but that's okay. And I'm going to chunkily drag my Mod Podge all around there, just like that. And if you don't hit every single spot, I think it'll be okay, honestly. Though I could be wrong. Again, not an expert. Just a dude in my garage. Which doubles as my basement, since I have an in-house garage. Without heat, mind you. Because whoever designed this wanted me to have to spend a bunch of money to make this shop better. I don't know why they wanted me to have to make this shop better. But that's what they did. Okay, I'm going to get that top part there, and we'll set that off to the side. Next time you see this piece, it'll be painted. Tell it goodbye. Bye. Wall number 2. Wall number 3. It's going to be very much like wall number 2. We're going to use Mod Podge, and it helps to have a little bit of color in your Mod Podge if you can't see well. I don't, however. So I'm going to do this naked and blind and hope I do a good job. And I will probably miss a ton of spots on it, and that's okay. We're just making cave walls, and we want to make them quick, and we want to make them so that we can represent our cave, our cavern, and what have you. For example, this is for the Caverns of Bachoran. Somebody said, how do you come up with the names? Well, I don't know. I don't have a process. I just say, oh shit, I got to make a video. And then I write down whatever I say so I can remember it. That's how I DM too, by the way. We're going to get a little bit of this pool sand here. So most pool season, good thing I have a whole new bag of pool sand for the filter up there. It's going to be pool season in a couple months. I'm excited. It's going to be time for the beveraging and swimming. And I love one of the reasons I work so hard to have that time. Me and the boys just chilling in the pool. The older boys come over, drink some blue skies, and get in the pool. So you'll see this again when it's painted up, but that's wall number 2. All right, wall number 3 has some texture on it. You don't even have to put sand on there if you didn't want to, but we're gonna. So let me get some more Mod Podge on my lid here. And again, you don't even have to paint this up. I'm going to let it get down there on my popsicle stick as well. And that doesn't have to be perfect, but it helps. Okay. Now remember, you don't have to have pool sand. You can use dirt from outside or sawdust or whatever you have. Sand, dirt, sawdust, very expensive store-bought flock, whatever you have. Generally, any aggregate will work to create this kind of okay. And you'll see that when it comes back, it'll be painted. You notice we missed some spots. That's okay. These are cave walls, and maybe there's some spots where they're smooth. Now, I will tell you, there's something you could do that could be useful. If a cave has been mined out, historically what often happens is that somebody would put some logs or some kind of supports. So let's get a knife. And let's make a chunk of this wall. I only do this because I hate you. There's no need to do this with a knife, like I just did. Nice. Well, the static goes a long way when it comes to cutting styrofoam, my friends. Now that did go on the floor. So let's say this is your interior wall. And we want to mount some logs as supports. What I would do is I would get my glue gun and I would try to melt the general shape of where that's going to go. Like that. And then I would fill that gap. And I would shove my log in. And I used way too much glue. So I'm just going to get a piece of cardboard and scrape some of that back off because it's just too much. And then I would just get a knife and cut that off. Or a snippers or whatever you have. I'll use snipper. Oh, almost dropped my glue gun. Oh, man, I did knock my knife over or something. I'm surprised I'm not dead. Okay. And you could pick the distance at which you feel it's necessary to have your spaces. Now, if you were using a method like this, you could probably get away with not Mod Podging it and sanding it. You could probably just throw some Mod Podge on there and call it a win. Okay, and we'll snip that off. And you could do this on any of the walls we just made, really. And that's going to make them look like they have logs that have been put in as supports. Let's paint these up. Let me get that on a base. Oh, you bastard. And I just need a little dab of glue on both sides to make that stick. We'll let that sit for a second, then we'll paint it with Mod Podge. Now I'm getting to the point where I feel like I need to do some... That's dry. Anything wet? That's a little bit wet. What's in there? It looks a little damp. Let's try it. Now, my thought is this. Probably don't need sand on this because it's got that natural texture and you could easily sell that as cave wall, I am thinking. Oh, look at that. Trying to get that extra loose clump off there. There we go, got it. Throw that in a place where ashes go. Well, I was criticized for saying that I believe something theological and philosophical. Let me tell you a secret. I do believe that science is our way of understanding the awesomeness of creation. Whether you believe that was a god or chance or whatever, no matter how you break up where we came from or what happened, science is the study of how that came to pass. Chemistry is the study of the building blocks, in my mind, and this is in my mind. You can believe what you wish. I believe that chemistry is the study of God's building blocks. You can believe it's the study of the building blocks that came through chaos or whatever higher power system you believe. And that's not a problem. Not at all. Where we come into problems is when intolerance starts to become a burden. I will let you believe what you wish to believe, and you let me wish what I wish to believe, and we'll all be happy. Because I said something about the Bible, that I believe that the Bible was not divinely inspired. I said that there's literally in the book of Leviticus a thing that says to, punish women who are menstruating and to kill gay people. And that's other things are mentioned in the Bible that I don't agree with. They sound very much like men control measures, not benevolent orders from a higher power to me. So I do believe in some kind of higher power. I just don't believe that the Bible is the divinely inspired word of it. I know gay people that fought in the war, and you know what? They loved America, and they loved other people, and they weren't rapists or bad people. Did I think it was disgusting that they wanted to do other guys? Yeah, of course, because I'm not into that. But you know what? There's things that I'm into that other people are probably disgusted by. I love lima beans, and lima beans are not well liked. So we're all entitled to our own things. I was very heavily criticized for saying that. And here's my argument, and you can judge me as you see fit. I believe there's a higher power. I believe the Bible has been altered by man heavily. I believe that a group of whoever they were sat in a room and picked what parts they wanted to include of it, and fuck everybody else and all the other shit they had. We're going to include what we want. And people, a church I went to years ago told me, well, it says it's the divinely inspired word of God. Dude, almost every message in the Bible is repeated like 3 or 5 times. Do this, don't do this, do this. One time in the book of Revelations, which was written by a madman political dissident, John the Hermit, says that this is the divinely inspired word of God, as if the Bible was sat down and written from the beginning to the end, and that's how he was going to finish that last chapter. No, it was a bunch of books written at different times, some of which were never even written until years after they were spoken. They were written down later, but they were taught word of mouth prior to that, and they were compiled into a volume, a tome. It's not just like somebody sat down and wrote, on the first day, God made eggs and bacon. On the second day, he was like, hey, fat people could eat all the bacon. You know, and then at the end, he was like, I'm going to burn everybody. No. It was a series of books that were compiled by a group of humans. They were historical documents. Some of them were stories that had been written down. But the bottom line is this. There are a lot of good lessons in there to learn to be a good person. If you want to learn how to treat other people, there are a ton of good lessons on there. There's a lot of bad stuff in there too. And, you know, being a Christian is not a good or a bad thing. It's just a series of beliefs. And if you want to believe certain things, then believe them. If you want to be a Jew, then be a Jew. You want to be a Muslim, be a Muslim. Be whatever you want to be. But don't get mad at other people when they don't agree with you. Don't ask them what they think, and when they tell you, get mad. Just accept the fact that we're all entitled to our own beliefs and structures. That's what makes us individuals. That's what makes freedom of thought powerful. That's how our world develops and grows. So anyways, that's enough lecture. This is part 1 of my cavern walls. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon and all that happy crappy that makes the algorithm gods happy. And no, I'm not saying I believe in the algorithm gods. So if you're like, well, he's anti this, no, I'm being silly. Just like I don't believe my hairdryer that my wife gave me as a magical item either. Okay, so thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Check out the website and buy some minis if you don't hate me already, and come hang out with us on Discord. Thanks for watching.